Welcome to Hour of Devastation, a weekly Magic the Gathering podcast where we talk all things Magic the Gathering. I'm your host, Joe Lowdon, and with me always is Sam Neal.
Hiya.
So how are you doing this week, Sam?
I'm not too bad. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
And the weekend's nearly over now at the time of recording.
Yeah, it is. It's been a good one, though. I've got to play a bit of Magic. I got to do a Masters 25 draft, which was a lot better than I thought it would be, to be honest.
Yeah, that has made a rubbish working week slightly more bearable.
So, should we get straight into our Cracker Pack this week?
Man, the segues. Yeah, absolutely.
So, this week we've got a pack of Masters 25 for our Cracker Pack. So, hopefully we'll be opening some Jason Mind Sculptor or Imperial Recruiter. Something nice and exciting, hopefully.
Based on my experience, that is unlikely.
Mine too. Well, one of the players in our pod did open a Jason Mind Sculptor. It wasn't myself. So, let's dive right into it. I'm going to crack that pack. I find these supplementary sets, they open quite nicely.
I can't say I've checked.
So first up, we've got a Lunarch Mantle. That is 1 and a white, and that is an enchantment. It says enchant creature. Enchant creature gets +2/+2 and has pay 1 mana, a sacrifice a permanent. This creature gains flying until end of turn. And that card was from Eldritch Moon.
No.
Yeah, no, probably not. I didn't really play with that card a lot in Eldritch Moon draft.
No, I didn't either.
And I can't really see myself playing it in this draft. Like maybe in some sort of like token strategy. I know there are quite a few really silly combos in this draft format.
Yeah.
So if you get something where you can just pop out a load of tokens, then yeah, maybe. But I'm never first picking it.
Sure.
Next up, we have Horror of the Broken Lands. So that is 4 and a black for a 4/4 creature horror. Whenever you cycle or discard another card, Horror of the Broken Lands gets +2/+1 until end of turn, and then it has cycling for 1 black mana.
I'm not sure how good the cycling deck is.
I played the cycling deck on Saturday. That was
oh, sweet.
Yeah, it wasn't really what I'd sort of set out to draft initially, but I ended up opening a Living Death in pack 2.
Sweet.
So I was like, well, I guess
that's a combo.
Yeah, I guess hey, cycling creatures plus Living Death is a thing, so let's do that. So yeah, I picked up a couple of Horror Broken Lands in that draft, and it did pretty well, but it wasn't my first pick then, and I can't see it being my first pick now either.
I mean, so far it is.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. If it's this or Lunarch Mantle, then definitely it's Horror Broken Lands.
Sure.
And that card is from Armanket as well, by the way. So next up, we have Trumpet Blast. Trumpet Blast is an instant. It's 2 and a red, and it says attacking creatures gets +2/+0 until end of turn.
I don't mind picking one up for aggressive red deck, but I'm not first picking it.
No, I wouldn't first pick this either. I'd be happy to get it on the wheel in a red deck, definitely. Yeah, can't see it being my first pick ever. Next up, we have Coral Helm Guide, a Battle for Zendikar draft all-star. That's 1 and a blue for a creature. It's a Merfolk Scout ally. It's a 2/1, and you can pay 4 and a blue. It says target creature can't be blocked this turn.
Seems fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, pretty much that. Like, it's fine. It's okay early on, like a 2 mana 2/1 is fine. Like, you play that in most decks. But later on, when you can sort of dump some mana into it and you have a bigger creature out on the board, just make it unblockable, get in for lethal. It's definitely a playable card, but I can't see myself first picking it.
No, I agree.
So we're still on the Horror of the Broken Lands here.
Absolutely.
Going to our next pick, which was originally in Alpha. That is Giant Growth.
Yes.
So that is 1 green for an instant, and that is target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Nice and simple.
It's a sweet card.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a great card. It's one of the boon cycle, which was sort of cards which all involved the number 3. So you had Giant Growth, which gave everything +3, or gave a creature +3/+3. You had Lightning Bolt, which was deal 3 damage to target creature or player, or just to target back then, I think it was.
And again now.
Yeah, and again. Well, not quite yet, but yeah, we'll get there. And you had, what else was in that cycle? Oh, the Ancestral Recall was the best one.
That's a pretty important one.
Yeah, just 1 blue, draws 3 cards, or target player draws 3 cards.
Why isn't that in this set?
That one is not in this set because it is on the reserve list and they cannot reprint those cards, unfortunately, no matter how iconic they might be.
I have a lot of feelings, but I think that's for a later episode.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should go deep on the reserve list, I think, in an episode. I've got some feelings on it. So Giant Growth, we're not picking that first, right?
No. I mean, I love it, but it's not.
Yeah.
Not for a first pick.
Totally. This next one, I think, there might be a bit of an argument for taking this one first. It's Murder, and that is 1 and 2 black. That is an instant, destroy target creature.
Yep, this is sweet. I think I'm taking this first so far.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I know, like I have said in a previous episode, that I do tend to sort of favour pick and removal quite highly, and Murder's just kind of a catch-all. 3 mana, destroy target creature. You can't really get any better than that.
Yeah, it's sweet.
So yeah, I think I agree with you. That is my first pick so far, the Murder there. And then after that, we have Totally Lost.
Fibblethub.
Yeah, 4 mana and 1 blue. And that's an instant. That's put target non-land permanent on top of its owner's library.
I've played this card.
I am unsure if I've played this card or not. I mean, I would play the card, maybe. Like, I'm a big fan of blue instants.
Yep.
But definitely not first picking this over Murder.
Well, no, exactly. 3 mana removal, that actually kills it over this.
Yeah, it's... I mean, it's not even a time walk, really, is it?
No.
No.
Not particularly.
No, sorry for bother. So after that, we have Griffin Protector. That is a 4 mana, so it's 3 and a white for a 2/3 creature, flying. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Griffin Protector gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
This isn't better than Murder.
I agree 100% on that one. It's sort of a mediocre creature that you'd be happy with in most white decks, but it's definitely not a first pick.
No.
After that, we have Nettle Sentinel. That is 1 green for a 2/2 elf warrior. So that's quite good. Then you read the text in it. It says, Nettle Sentinel doesn't untap during your untap step, but whenever you cast a green spell, you may untap Nettle Sentinel.
This card's really good.
Yeah, Nettle Sentinel is great. I think it's not something I would first pick.
No.
I mean, especially not when we already have Murder in the pack. I think Murder's considerably better first pick than Nettle Sentinel. But I think I'd definitely be happy to have at least one of these in my green deck.
Yeah, definitely. Like, there's an aggressive green deck in this draft format that I think this fits very well in.
Yeah, definitely, and we already know that there's at least one giant growth in the pod, so maybe we get there.
Yeah.
So after that, we have Bloodhunter Bat. That is 3 and a black. For a 2/2 flying, it's a creature. When Bloodhunter Bat enters the battlefield, target player loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life.
I like this card. Not more than Murder.
I really like this card. Again, not as a pack one pick one, but I did manage to pick up a couple of these in my draft I did on Saturday.
Yep.
I had 2 of these, and then I also managed to pick up 4 copies of Cloud Shift.
Ooh, sweet, that's a combo.
Yeah, I did have 4 copies of Cloud Shift as well in that deck, so I did get to do some fancy sort of blink effects where you get to play Cloud Shift, which is exile target creature you control, and return that card to the battlefield under your control. So I did that with Bloodhunter Bat. My opponent loses 2, you gain 2. Do it a couple of times, and you just get there.
Yeah, I played a deck with this on... I drafted a deck on Modo with this card.
Yeah.
And if you go turn 2 Dark Ritual into Bloodhunter Bat, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I managed to get my opponent down to 10 just because they couldn't deal with this 2/2 flyer.
Nice.
Sweet.
And that's one of the things I love about this format, that Dark Ritual's in the format. Like, I'm a big fan of fast mana and limited formats, and I mean, you can't really get much better than Dark Ritual.
Yeah, I'm not taking Dark Rituals early, but I think if you pick them up later in your black decks, it makes them a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did not get any Dark Ritual in this pack, because now we're on to the uncommons.
Okay.
So first uncommon, we have Angelic Page. So that is 1 and a white for a creature. It's an angel spirit. It's a 1/1 with flying, and you can tap it. It says target attacking or blocking creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
I'm not first picking it.
No, I'm not first picking it. I think you might be happy to play it in a white deck. I feel like it's one of those cards that seems really underpowered when you compare it to creatures that are printed today, given that it was printed in Urza's Saga, I believe, this one. So it's a 2 mana 1/1 flyer, which already isn't great.
Yep.
And then you do have to tap it to activate its ability, which isn't the best ability.
No, I think you'd be fine picking a couple up for like your Savannah line decks.
Yeah,
and stuff
sure.
like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, still not better than Murder.
No, definitely not. After that, we've got Browbeat, and that is 2 and a red for a sorcery. It says any player may have Browbeat deal 5 damage to him or her. If no one does, target player draws 3 cards.
I don't want to pick this card either.
No, I don't want to pick this card either. I guess this was probably as close to Ancestral Recall as they could print.
You sure?
Like, there's draw 3 cards in it.
I really want someone to put this card on the stack and then I flash in a Notion Thief.
Yeah.
I really want that to happen.
That sounds like that could be quite a good thing to do.
Because then they just take 5 off it, right? Because it's any player may take 5.
Yeah.
They have to take 5 off their own card.
Yep.
Or let you draw. Sweet.
Seems good. But yeah, no, we're definitely not first picking this one.
Nope.
Next, we have the Nyx Fleece Ram.
Sweet.
Which was a bit of an all-star back in its sort of standard time, that was. and it's an enchantment creature, and it's a sheep. It's 2 mana, it's 1 and a white for a 0/5, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 1 life.
No, but the art on this card is sweet.
Yeah, the art on this card is amazing, and it did see a really good amount of play for what it is sort of back in the day.
Yeah.
I wouldn't see myself first picking it ever, unless there's 14 unplayable, actually unplayable cards in the pack.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd actually play this, unless I was in a proper bind. Is there any kind of combo for this deck, for this card? Is there an enchantment based deck that's really good that wants this, or?
No, not that I'm aware of. I think there's probably an argument for playing in your sort of black-white life shenanigans deck.
Sure, there's some life game.
Yeah, maybe you open up a Triskaidekaphobia and kind of want to keep yourself off that 13 life.
Sweet, yeah, okay.
So I think there's some real corner cases.
There's some nonsense applications. That's fine.
For sure. It's not a card I'm first picking, but it is a card that I do like, if not just for the art alone and just the memories of playing mostly against it in Standard.
And it's a sheep.
It is, it's a sheep.
Sheeps are cool.
So after that, we've got our rare, and our rare is... It's Triskaidekaphobia.
There we go.
There we go. It was...
So your first pick, right?
How great. I would 100% first pick this card.
Like me with memes last week.
Triskaidekaphobia it's 3 and a black. It's kind of really frustrating that they format the mana cost that way.
Yeah.
So it's an enchantment, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you choose one, and the choices are: each player with exactly 13 life loses the game, then each player gains 1 life, or each player with exactly 13 life loses the game, then each player loses 1 life.
Sweet.
I love this card. It's so flavorful. It's so ridiculous. If you look at the art is amazing. So there's so many. I think I assume there's 13 instances of the number 13 or 13 things showing up in the art.
So there's 13 cleavers, there's 13 droplets of blood, there's 13 logs. There's just everywhere.
Oh, it's great. It's such a good card. So flavorful. It's kind of a shame I've opened it up in a £9.50 pack, but
that happens.
It happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can't think of because if we're calling this Iconic Masters, which it should be.
Yeah.
Then I don't think you could pick more iconic card from Shadows. Really, there's more powerful and more playable and more expensive cards, but this everyone thought this card was great, and then was excited about this card, and it's just sweet.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic piece of card design. The flavor's great. I've had a lot of fun playing with Triskaidekaphobia.
Yeah.
I did very, very briefly play a Rakdos Triskaidekaphobia deck in Modern as well.
Of course you did.
For about a fortnight.
Sure.
It did steal some wins. It was using some of the cards that I talked about in the episode last week from my old Standard deck.
Oh, okay.
Put them into Modern, so you would swing for 2 with your Cackler on turn 2, and I can play with Lightning Bolt, and then you get Triskaidekaphobia down on turn 4, and at that point they've shocked and fetched themselves down to 13 life, and they just die the next turn.
This requires a lot of hoops to jump through.
It did, it really did, and that's why I only played it for 2 weeks, but it was a lot of fun.
It's the kind of deck that if you win once, you're the happiest you've ever been playing Magic, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. It was not a deck I'd ever recommend anybody playing ever, unless you really love Triskaidekaphobia, but it's great. But that is not the last card in the pack.
What's our foil?
Yeah, Masters packs, you do get a foil in every pack as well. So our foil is not sure how to pronounce this. It's a Iwaramori of the Open Fist. Iwaramori of the Open Fist. It is from Betrayers at Kamigawa, I believe. And that is 2 and 2 green for a legendary creature, Human Monk, and it's a 5/5 with Trample for 4. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent may put a legendary creature card from his or her hand onto the battlefield. This
is actually a consideration for me, I think.
I don't think it's as good as Murder. I feel it probably just has that thing that Eureka has, that whenever you play Eureka, you just lose. Your opponent's just going to play something awesome.
Sure, but so the legendary creatures in the set, there aren't many.
Yeah, true.
So, there's the chances of your opponent having a legendary creature when you play this are slim.
Yeah.
Having a good one, they're even slimmer.
Yeah, for sure. It's
4 mana 5/5 with trample is pretty nuts.
Yeah, it is definitely, like, the stats are good, and yeah, it's not cube, so the chances of your opponent having a legendary creature in their hand are considerably less.
Yeah, like, I'm okay with playing this, and like, if my opponent puts in like a Jalera Master Polymorphist, I'm going to feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
I don't know, I think I'd take this, because I like the green decks in this format, but
Yeah.
Murder is very good.
That's fair enough. Like, Murder is very good. I think I'm on the Triskaidekaphobia plan. Like, I kind of have to. Like, I'll take that, and then I'm either, like, certainly going to get that Nyx Fleece Ram back on the wheel, or maybe the Bloodhunter Bat.
Yeah, okay, there's some combos within your own path.
Try and do some sort of life gain, life loss shenanigans, and try to get there with Triskaidekaphobia.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my pick this week, Triskaidekaphobia.
Okay, cool. That's fine. I'd probably take it as well for if you can't draft nonsense decks in master sets, when can you?
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of the draft, how did you find that draft overall?
I'm not sure, because we discussed it before either of us had actually drafted it.
Yeah, I was pretty I think I was pretty negative going into it.
Yeah, I think my main concern, like having drafted it, so I've been doing like phantom drafts online.
Yeah.
Because you invest 10 ticks into it, and then you can keep going if you go 2 on or better. It's sort of the chances of so normally with a master set is like you either draft a ridiculous deck, do really well, have fun, or you have a bad deck but you open something incredibly valuable. You know, it pays for the draft, or that sort of writes off a bad experience. So like with Mono Masters 3, like I drafted where I opened like a Misty Rainforest, and I drafted again where I opened a Snapcaster Mage, and like you had the chance, but you don't really have a chance with that in this set. It's sort of Jace, Imperial Recruiter, or bust in terms of like proper value, because the drafts can be, you know, based on MSRP, can be like £25.
Yeah, I mean at the minimum, like so the store where I draft at, it's $27.50 for draft. Obviously there's a bit of prize support on top of that as well, but you're looking, the cheapest drafts I've seen are £25, but then they go sort of all the way up to 35. Like it's not a cheap set. It's not a cheap set to draft. Most
the draft that happened at my local FLM, which I passed on, was £30, and it's like I can't really justify spending £30 for a draft that I might not even make any value on.
Yeah, for sure. And it is one of those sets most people, because of the price, are only going to draft it sort of once at the most, really.
But I've drafted it a couple of times at this point, and I mean I got my first ever trophy on Magic Online.
Oh, sweet, nice, congratulations.
Yeah, which was really surreal. But like, yeah, the deck I drafted, that was like a blue-black sort of, I don't really know, just good cards. I just took all the good blue and black cards. Like I first picked an Exclude.
Okay.
It's 3 mana, counter target creature spell, draw a card.
Yeah.
It's sweet. And then I got a Shadow Mage Infiltrator.
Nice.
I got some Diabolic Edicts. I got past a Phyrexian Obliterator.
Yeah, there you go. At that point, you just straight on the mono black plan there, I think.
Just nuts. And then I was like, oh man, I need to pick up some Dark Rituals.
Yeah.
And then I got them like pack 3.
Oh, so good.
But it was sweet. Like there was one game where I actually went land Dark Ritual for Phyrexian Obliterator, and my opponent just conceded.
Yeah, I mean you can't really beat that.
You can't beat that card.
It's great. It's
but I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, same. I definitely thought it was a much better draft experience than I thought it was going to be going in. I guess from the initial sort of look at the draft, it kind of felt, if I had to compare it to anything, I'd say it felt like a bit of a chaos draft, sort of, rather than in the past where you've had the master sets which almost feel a bit like cubes, but not quite.
Yeah,
I thought that this one definitely felt like a chaos draft.
Yeah, because there's less sort of synergy built into the draft itself, because we're so used to with modern like standard draft sets of like, you know, you build this archetype or you build this archetype, whereas this, they've sort of tried to cram in the morph deck and the cycling deck, but generally it's just take the best cards in the pack, jam them all together and play some vaguely powerful Magic.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, there are a couple of combos in there, but you're not sort of guaranteed to get them, which again is something that can happen, and I have seen happen in chaos drafts before as well, where you know, somebody will get something ridiculous. I think the most ridiculous one I saw was drafting at a GP, and the person sat opposite me opened both a Stoneforge Mystic and a Batter Skull. And it's like, well,
they win that draft.
Needless to say, they won that pod, but
that's nuts.
Sometimes that just thing sort of happens, and while the combos in this set might not be as powerful, the combos are certainly there. You might not get them as frequently as you would in a sort of a cube set, or maybe even other master sets from what I've seen. But you know, they are real, they are there. Sometimes you just get there.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna draft it again online.
Yeah, I think I might draft it online. So I wasn't going to initially, but now I have drafted it in paper. Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna have to give it a go.
Like I'm probably gonna fire up another draft after we've finished recording because
Yeah.
I have had fun drafting it.
Yeah, sure.
Just because you get to do some nonsense.
Fantastic. So, do you have a card of the week this week, Sam?
I do have a card of the week.
Okay. And what's your card this week?
It's a pretty boring one.
Okay.
My card of the week, which features in Masters 25,
Yeah.
is Lightning Bolt.
Aha! Lightning Bolt is great. That is one of those cards from the Boon cycle I mentioned earlier. It is in Masters 25, and yeah, it might not be the most sort of flashy card, I mean, no pun intended, but it's a great card, absolute fantastic modern staple. So why is this your card of the week?
This is my card of the week because I've played Magic for nearly 5 years now.
Yeah.
And for the first time ever this week, I picked up my first playset of Lightning Bolts.
Wow.
I've never owned a playset of Lightning Bolts before.
Amazing. So yeah.
I'm that against red.
Wow. I mean, I think like one of the first things I ever owned was a playset of Lightning Bolts. Like,
yeah, I'm
said
sure
last
most
week.
people pick up Lightning Bolts fairly early.
Yeah, like I obviously established myself as a Rakdos guild member quite quickly, and suddenly found a playset of Lightning Bolts in my hand. Like,
No, yeah, because I've been messing around with some modern decks.
yeah,
Like, okay, I should probably play Braid Elf.
yeah, it's a good card.
Okay, that means I probably have to play Lightning Bolt. Okay, I'll buy some Lightning Bolts.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I finally owned some Lightning Bolts. Yeah, that's my card of the week because
Awesome.
I'm finally resolving some Lightning Bolts.
Fantastic. And how does that feel?
It feels good, unfortunately.
It's just, yeah, it's 1 mana, deal 3 damage to any target. Like, it's just a great efficient spell.
Yeah, it's really good because I'm so used to Path to Exile,
Yeah.
where like that doesn't line up well sometimes, and you're just like, I bolt you. Yeah, okay, I'm convinced it's fine.
It's one of those cards that it's arguably just really good at any point in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's great, on turn 1 when you can bolt your opponent's bird.
Yep.
Or it's great on, turn 10 when they're set at 3 life and you draw a
Yep.
Lightning Bolt. Like, yeah, it's a great card. One of my favourite Magic cards, I think, to be honest. Because
Yeah,
it is just so simple and so efficient.
Yeah, I won some games by just going Blood Braid into this Lightning Bolt 6U, and that wins games sometimes.
Yeah, it's great.
So maybe that card's good after all.
Oh, it is. Yeah, definitely. It also does beat Jace the Mind Sculptor as well.
It does beat Jace the Monster. That is true. Not if they take up, but sure.
Yeah, sure. But then that's why you got your Blood Red Elf, though, so you can cascade into your Lightning Bolt as well.
And then kill the Jace. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Combo deck.
Yeah.
Combo deck. Sweet. So what is your card of the week?
So my card of the week is something completely different to Lightning Bolt.
Mm-hmm.
However, once again, it is something that is featured in an upcoming set.
Sweet.
But this time it was officially spoiled by Wizards of the Coast, sort of properly and everything with the card art.
Awesome.
So it was one of the exciting things that we sort of saw last week was in amongst all of the cards that were spoiled from Dominaria, we had these new enchantments, which were called Sagas.
Mm-hmm.
They seemed sort of a little confusing from the sort of set release notes, and we thought, hey, we'll wait until we see the card and we'll get to have a better feel for them then once we see what the art is.
Yeah.
So I think it was it Monday last week?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I think it was quite early on in the week they did a bit of an article where they talked about how they are going to change some things around a little bit with the sort of upcoming spoiler season for Dominaria, and then they did reveal the full card art and full card design, I should say, for one of the new Saga cards. So that is my card of the week, Phyrexian Scriptures.
Yeah.
So Phyrexian Scriptures it's an enchantment, Saga, it's 4 mana, so it's 2 and 2 black, and it says, as the Saga enters and after your draw step, add a lore counter, sacrifice after 3, and it has sort of 3 sections underneath that. 1, it says put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. That creature becomes an artifact in addition to its other types. 2, destroy all non-artifact creatures. And 3, exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards.
It seems powerful.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the first 2 modes work quite nicely with each other.
I mean, Wizards said they weren't going to print a 4-mana Wrath, and here it is.
Yeah, I guess so. It doesn't destroy everything, but
Exactly. It doesn't destroy the creature that you put a counter on. It's a 1-card combo.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, the synergy between the sort of the first chapter, I guess, of the Saga card and the second chapter are quite nice.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah, I believe so. I think in reading the sort of the set release notes,
Yeah.
the 3 sort of sections on the card are or chapters, because you're adding
That's
a lore
awesome.
counter to them. So
That's
it is
awesome.
sort of a really nice, flavourful design.
Yeah, I mean, like, just looking at I mean, because, yeah, 'cause like you said, this has been officially spoiled by Wizards, so it's like you can go and see how the card actually looks. And they've changed a lot about how it looks,
They
and I
have,
really
yeah.
like
It's very strange. So it doesn't look like a Magic card.
it.
That is one of
No.
those sort of phrases I've seen thrown about. There's
Yeah.
a great YouTuber called Ristic Studies, so Magic Man Sam, who does these sort of videos all about really interesting, really in-depth videos all about loads of different aspects of Magic and the cards and designs. And he did one recently which was specifically about sort of the, I guess, the aesthetics of the card really, and sort of the frame of the card and how Magic cards look. And one of the things that was repeated to him as well was, this does not look like a Magic card, when referring to things like the Armageddon Invocations. And
Yeah.
once again, that completely stands out with these Phyrexian scriptures.
Yeah, I mean, so you've got like the normal card name bar with the mana cost,
Yeah, you do, yeah.
and then the text box and the card art are both side by side in vertical boxes instead.
Yeah, so it's kind of like they've taken the middle section of the card and then just rotated it 90 degrees.
Yeah, it looks really cool, especially because obviously this is the only one we've seen with art.
Yeah,
The art on this card is clearly commissioned. Is that the right word?
yeah,
To be vertical rather than the sort of horizontal art frame that we're used to, and it looks sweet.
yeah. The art is absolutely
like this.
fantastic.
It's got the little Phyrexian symbol, so it looks like it's because it kind of looks like it's meant to be a Phyrexian altar.
It is, yeah. If you look at one of the, I think it's one of the older Dark Ritual cards actually.
Mm-hmm.
It is the altar from that Dark Ritual.
Oh, right, okay, I didn't know that. I'm going to have to look this up right now.
Yeah, which one is
What
it?
set's it from?
It is the one from Urza Saga.
Oh man, okay.
So
Okay,
it's
this
got
is
like
sweet.
the Mask of Yawgmoth, and it's got the hand coming down the side and everything. And yeah, so it's the same sort of, at least the same Phyrexian altar design that it is in the Dark Ritual.
Oh man,
Yeah,
this is very exciting.
it's really cool.
Oh, this is really cool. Okay,
Really
sweet.
sort of sweet, flavourful sort of throwback to that. And then you've actually got written on the side of the altar, you can see some of the Phyrexian scriptures.
Yep.
Which are kind of like
that's
the
awesome.
sort of, I guess, unholy texts of Phyrexia.
But like this card is even if this card was absolute garbage, which it isn't. I think I'm not sure how to evaluate them at the moment, but I think just the look of it and the flavour of it is so cool. Like it's even got the Phyrexian symbol in the text box.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so sweet.
It looks very. It still feels very strange to me. Like it doesn't look like a Magic card, but
Sure.
the art is fantastic. I do like the card. I think it's a very sort of powerful, potentially powerful card. Little unsure about the sort of the third ability, the exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards. I guess
Yeah.
it's still relevant as long as Armand gets in standard. You can't do any of the sort of aftermath. Was it aftermath?
Yeah, which is another sort of strange card design,
Yeah.
right? In terms of like aesthetics of a card.
Yeah, yeah. So
Where we have like the card. We've had split cards before from oh god, what set? So there's Plane of Chaos, Dragon's Maze, and what was the first one?
was it Guild Pact or Dissension?
Yeah, and there was one
Yeah.
before that, the old like Fire and Ice. What set?
Oh
Fire and
yeah.
Ice?
Oh, Invasion, I think.
Invasion, sure.
Yeah.
But then the aftermath cards kind of had one the sort of right way up and then one sideways.
Yeah.
I think people had a similar reaction to that as they did to like this Saga, where it's just like it looks very, very strange. It doesn't look like a Magic card, and it's just Wizards sort of playing around with like literal card design in terms of how it looks.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think they could have gone down a more sort of traditional path of card design with this one and just done it sort of quite similar to like the level up cards that they had in the past.
Yeah,
They could have done it like that, or they could have just done something like any of like the modal spells, so designed it the sort of same way that Cryptic Command is, as far as like the layout of that goes, or even like was it Demonic Pact, where you choose a different thing each turn. Yeah. So yeah, I think they kind of clearly want to set it apart from any sort of modal cards or cards that do different things in the past, just to sort of show that it's a brand new thing and it's exciting.
Yeah, because I think it will play quite cleanly, like in paper, because you'll have because normally when you have like put a counter on a card, you'll use a dice or something.
Yeah.
But I think with this, like you can do that, but like because it's down the side, like vertically, you can sort of put a counter next to where it is. So you could like
sure.
put a counter next to 1, then next to 2, then next to 3.
Yeah.
I think that's quite cool. I mean, I'm not sure if it'll actually because you can move the dice and stuff and things will happen, but I think that's quite cool. I like
Yeah,
that.
definitely. Yeah, I love, like I said, the art is one of my favourite things about it.
Yeah,
Did
it's
you see
so.
that the Phyrexian has been pretty much translated as well?
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's
Magic pairs are so cool.
yeah. There was a big post on Reddit when the art came out, and everybody was sort of scrambling on to translate the text as fast as they could, and it seemed
What is that from? How do you translate Phyrexian? Because I know that like Elish Norn had Phyrexian language on it as a judge promo, but how do you like translate Phyrexian?
so yeah. So they've used like Elish Norn, they've
Hmm.
used sort of those cards from New Phyrexia.
Yeah.
There was something in like the trailer for New Phyrexia as well, which like
Oh,
referenced some
really?
of like the writing, and they've managed to sort of like create a bit of a cipher
Man, that's so cool.
to translate Phyrexian into I guess the closest they can into English. It is apparently it is a complete language, and we will sort of get a complete Phyrexian alphabet one day.
Wow.
I think
Okay.
it was I can't remember whose blog it was, on somebody's blog. I'm not sure if it was Mark Rosewater or if it was like Aaron Forsyth. But yeah,
Okay.
somebody had been asked if, a couple of years ago, they'd been asked if we'll ever get like a full sort of Phyrexian alphabet. Will we ever see like a full one completed? And they said that is something that we will see at some point.
Oh, that's awesome.
But
That's really, really cool. I'm gonna go find that thread after we're done recording
yeah,
because that's
there's a lot to read into it, but it's really interesting. So, approximately, it says something like the grand evolution began. Father Perfection saw the Great Yawgmoth machine. Phyrexia from the Void evolved. One of the things that's got me so excited about the set.
yeah, because you've just so what you just read because I've got a card image of the Urza Saga Dark Ritual,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's near enough what it says.
But it's apart from the Phyrexian scriptures, yeah, because there's a few.
As the flavor text. And
Yeah.
oh man.
Well, that was one of the other things where they took sort of some of the translation from, because I think there's 4 cards that reference the Phyrexian scriptures, and they've all got a different line of a different verse from it.
I love this game.
It's so good. Like I think this is one of the things I'm most excited about Dominaria for. Just
Yeah.
all of the little Easter eggs, all of the throwbacks, and
Yeah, because I'm like in terms of the player archetypes,
Yeah.
like Johnny, Timmy, Spike, and everything. I am like firmly Vorthos,
yeah, like
100%.
I think of some sort of like Spike Vorthos meld. I think like definitely
Sure.
like maybe leaning sort of further over to Vorthos. Like
Yeah, like I'm so into this sort of stuff.
yeah, absolutely. Like I think it's one of the things that I've enjoyed the most about the game. Like the whole
Yeah.
time I've played it is learning all about the lore of the game and all of the characters and all of the
Yeah,
different planes, and I just
it's
love
something
it.
that when Azor came out in the last set,
Yeah,
it just like I mean that's really cool. Can use from Ravnica set up the Azorius guild.
yeah,
That, and then I went back through all these old cards, everything referenced him, and managed to build a commander, like a theme commander deck about Azor.
nice.
And it's got all of the Azor cards and loads of Azorius cards. And anyway, that's getting off the point. But I mean, yeah, I think this is a very, very important part, like aspect of the game. Like these cool designs, these cool images.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it's probably the reason why I'd pick Triskaidekaphobia over Murder in that pack one pick one as well.
Sure. Oh man, this is really cool. I mean, like because we've seen them over the last few years, like really sort of play with design.
Yeah, definitely. I think more so
Interesting.
over the past sort of year and a half than I've ever seen them play with design like prior to that. Like the whole time I've been playing Player Magic, like
Yeah.
things kind of were just the same for a long time, and then they have been very experimental recently. I think
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
probably for the better. Like
Yeah.
they're not gonna hit it out the park every time. Like we certainly saw like the Marmoset Masterpiece series, the Invocations. I was not a fan of them at all. Like
When they were first spoiled, like when we first saw the images before they'd come out, I was really sort of against them.
yeah, I
Like, this looks silly.
wasn't a fan of them at all. I thought that on the vast majority of them, the art was absolutely fantastic.
Oh, definitely.
But the way they sort of messed with the card frame and they'd made
Yeah.
the art smaller, it seemed like a really counterintuitive thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, because that's like exactly how I felt when I first saw them. I was like, this is ridiculous. It doesn't look like a Magic card,
Yeah,
and
for
not in
sure.
the same way that like the Aftermath cards or like the Saga cards look different. Like this has no semblance to a Magic card.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look anything like a Magic card at all.
Mm-hmm.
It could have come from a different game. Like
Yeah, exactly. But I've since picked up a couple of I've got Aven Mind Sensors because they were a invocation,
yeah,
and I actually really like it. Like actually having them in paper, I'm like because I really like promo card, because I like foils,
Yeah.
right? But I really like promo cards and like different arts and stuff like that. So like I really like stuff with future sight borders.
Yeah,
And I just really like it. It just feels sort of special, you know?
yeah. I think like I don't mind. I think the ones that I don't mind are like the gods, like the invocation versions of the gods, because I
Yeah,
think
they're very
that
cool.
really makes sense in like a flavor way.
Mhm.
Like the scorpion god, scarab god, and locust god look
Yeah,
like they look really good.
yeah.
And they sort of fit nicely in a bit of a flavour way there, especially those three in particular, as opposed to the Almond gods, because they were, as when the story, as far as the story goes, they were sort of sealed away, and
Mhm.
it does suit them to have this kind of like old sort of sealed away stone tablet look to the card.
Yeah, that's what it looks sort of like an Egyptian tablet with hieroglyphs on, right?
Yeah, definitely. But I think that's about as far as my sort of liking of them goes. Like the big fault really is that like hieroglyphs, as you said, like the font they've used to sort of give it that sort of ancient Egyptian feeling.
Hmm.
It doesn't really work when you can't read what the card says. Like,
Yeah, there were some like pretty dodgy translations of what some of the cards looked like. They said.
yeah, definitely, yeah. The Hazaret one in particular is
Yeah, it does not look like fervent.
it does not look like fervent at all. No, but yeah, we even had like I think it was the Hour of Devastation pre-release. Somebody had opened an invocation, got
Yeah.
dead excited about it because they thought they'd opened the Damnation invocation, but
Right.
actually it was the Doomsday.
We just couldn't read it.
Just yeah, they just like they couldn't read it. I had somebody have play the cryptic command one against me.
Yeah.
Like I just had to like read it and be like, what? Oh, okay, cryptic command. Yeah, sure,
I know
fine.
what this card does.
Yeah, like just
Yes.
cards that I've played against like so many times before that just because they didn't look like Magic cards, it was like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, I've got to take a minute to think about this.
Yeah, I think maybe that is a problem, but I like them. I like them taking risks, right? Like I like them
Yeah,
messing with the frame and
I would much rather they took risk and got it wrong than not, I think.
yeah, because you don't want it to get stale and you don't want to just keep rehashing old things.
Yeah, and like, yeah, I think if you look at the things they've done in past where they have taken a risk,
Hmm.
like they did, like, so energy, for example, the energy mechanic is one that they have been sort of trying to work on for a long time. I think it was going to be in Mirrodin originally.
Was it original Mirrodin or was it
Original
the-
Mirrodin, yeah.
It was okay. Yeah, because I
I think
can't
it was
remember.
the mechanic E. I think it was. I think
Oh,
that's
right,
what
okay.
it was called. At least when they were sort of testing and developing it for Mirrodin,
Yep.
and they couldn't sort of figure it out how to get it into the set then with the
Mm-hmm.
other things that were included in Mirrodin, and then it was kind of shelved for a bit, and then they tried to work it in, and I think energy was something that was taking a bit of a risk because it was this whole other resource that we'd never really had like another resource other than mana to play with like that before.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously that did go kind of wrong, but I'm still very glad they did it.
Definitely, like it just shows that they have all these ideas. Because like before Energy happened, like as Magic players, you can't really envision that kind of thing happening because you know the game. You know, it's the same with the colorless specific mana with
Yeah, sure, yeah.
like you sort of know how the game is played. You know there are 5 colors. You have lands, mana, creature. We know how these things work, and they keep trying to push those boundaries. So
Yeah.
it is really exciting. And sometimes they don't work, like Energy. And sometimes they're just really, really cool. And I think sagas are another really interesting thing that I hope are really cool. I hope are really good because they are really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think they are going to be really good. Like, so we haven't seen the art for any of them apart from the one for Phyrexian Scriptures that was spoiled this week. But in the sort of coming weeks, we should have a nice full reveal of all of the art. But we know what I think we've had all of the sagas spoiled, if not the vast majority of them. I think we know what they all do, and they are all sort of really interesting. Just having to read through sort of the spoilers and the set release notes, I think that they will see a lot of play.
Yeah, I think that they're a really cool design, and some of them seem quite powerful.
Yeah, definitely. So just looking through them, I think my favourite one is one that it looks like it doesn't look great when you first read it, and I think it might sort of fly under the radar a bit initially. So it's a red enchantment, and
Of course.
it's called the Flame of Keld. It's 1 and a red enchantment saga. And then as the saga enters, and after your draw step, add a lore counter, sacrifice after 3. So the first, what I assume are being called chapters. The first chapter is you discard your hand, which doesn't sound good, but my thinking is, you're playing this in a red deck, like the vast majority of the time, you're not going to have that many or even any cards in your hand.
Sure, I mean, like, the mono red deck in Stand at the moment is looking to aggressively remove its hand because of Hazaret.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So it does, Yeah, for that reason alone,
That's
it
just
just
how
does
it
play
plays.
really nice with Hazoret. So you could even, like, say you've got Hazoret on board, you've got a couple cards in your hand, you can play your Flame of Keld, and then
Yep.
away goes your hand, and now you can attack with your Hazoret freely.
Yep.
So then after that, after you discard your hand, you've got 2, which is draw 2 cards, which is always quite nice to sort of draw cards in red, because you are sort of emptying your hand so much. It's nice to sort of draw back up, so again, you can keep pumping things on the battlefield, or you might draw a Lightning Bolt, we mentioned earlier, and just, burn your opponent out. So I think drawing cards in red is always a good thing.
Definitely.
And then the final one, which I think is the key here, is if a red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player this turn, it deals that much damage plus 2 to that permanent or player instead.
Seems powerful.
Yeah, and I think that's one that's going to see a lot of play because of some of the other cards that we've seen in Dominaria so far. We know cards like Siege Gang Commander are getting a reprint.
Yep.
So I would assume we're going to have some sort of like go wide strategy with goblins, with your other sort of red cards that you've got already, like even stuff like sort of Bomat Courier. Like I think there's going to be a bit of a sort of go wide red deck there. Like flood your board with like a bunch of 1/1 creatures, and especially the goblins. Suddenly they're attacking 3 damage that turn.
Yeah, it seems pretty sweet.
Yeah, there's also quite an interesting card from Dominaria as well, the Goblin Chain Whirler. So it's 3 red for a 3/3 Goblin Warrior with First Strike. And when it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. But then if you've got your Flame of Keld out and it's on the 3rd chapter, that enters the battlefield and it just lightning bolts everything.
Ooh, okay.
So suddenly it's it's a big step up.
Yeah, that seems sweet.
So I think from all the sagas that I've seen so far, that might be my favourite one.
Like I think I'm sorry, I'm just looking through them all and they're just so cool. Like just the general design, because they're all sort of like stories.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's one of the reasons why I like them so much is they are really sort of flavourful.
So like I won't go into any of like what they actually do, but you've got like History of Benalia, Triumph of Jarrod, Fall of the Thran, Antiquities War, like
Time of Ice.
They've managed to sort of take a card and make it sort of just in one single card explain an entire thing like the Antiquities War, which is like it's just so cool.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think this Dominaria set, I think it's really going to be the sort of bridging point of older players of Magic and new players of Magic, and I guess old Magic and new Magic in a way. This sort of like convergent point where you've got, as far as like the ongoing Magic story goes, you've got the Gatewatch and the sort of the new players, the new planeswalkers that we all know and love. They're interacting with sort of all the older characters from the past, and I think I'm just dead excited for the pre-release, because I know, like, personally, the pre-release site end usually have, there'll be a handful of older players that they've been playing Magic for a long time, like sort of since the 90s, but the only time they play now is they'll play sort of casually at home, but they'll always come to pre-release. Like,
sweet.
That's the thing you always do. And then pre-release is also absolutely fantastic for new players as well.
Yeah,
it's arguably the best event that a new player can go to, because you're getting a brand new product. Everybody's kind of on more of a level playing field, because you're getting sort of what you're playing with, and nobody's ever played with these cards before. And I think just you're going to get to see this sort of interactions between the more sort of experienced players and players that have played for a longer time playing with new players. And let's say one of them will play a Saga card, and then let's say that player that has been playing sort of since the 90s can go, oh yeah, the Time of Ice, oh this card is Ice Age, and sort of explain, oh, what's Ice Age, and then they get to sort of explain Ice Age and what it was like playing back then. And I just think it's going to be a great experience for both players in that situation.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Like, they've managed to, like, even, we haven't seen all the cards, we haven't even seen the arts and the flavor text.
We've seen the art for one card, and I'm already more excited about all of these cards and all of these sort of sagas than I have been in for any Magic set for a long time, I think.
Absolutely. Like, they've managed to sort of encapsulate these stories in just literally the mechanics of a card. It's just very, very cool. And they've managed to go back to sort of old Magic.
Yeah.
Without going back, like doing something completely brand new in terms of the game. That's just really exciting. The fact that they can do all these things and still come up with something that we haven't seen before on Blackwater cards, it's really, really cool.
Yeah, definitely. It's that thing where it feels familiar, because it's all of this sort of old Magic lore, all of the stuff that you've read about, all these things you know, but it also feels very fresh as well, and it feels very exciting.
Definitely. Cool. So have you got anything more to say on sagas before we move on to What the Deck?
Just that they're great, and I'm very excited to play with them, So that brings us to our What the Deck this week. And what is our What the Deck?
This week we have a standard deck.
A standard deck? Okay. And what have we got?
So it's from one of the 5 lists from the Competitive Standard League from the 15th of March.
Okay, cool. So from Magic Online.
And I have to give a shout out to Rob Whitehouse, who sent me this deck list, who just sent me a screenshot of the deck. It's like, you have to look at this deck list because it is stupid. So
let's get into it.
We have 4 Walking Ballistas,
Yep.
4 Metallic Mimics,
Yep.
3 Weaponcraft Enthusiasts.
Okay, that's a card that I haven't seen played a lot.
Yeah, 2 and a black for an Aetherborn Artificer. It's an 0/1 and it has Fabricate 2.
Okay.
So when it enters, you put 2/1 counters on it or create 2 servos.
Sure, so there's some sort of like strong artifact theme already going on
there. And then 2 Scarab Gods.
Yeah, it's a great card.
Playing standard.
Yeah.
2 Marionette Masters.
Yeah, that makes sense for the artifact.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we have 4 Unesh Cryosphinx Sovereign.
Yeah. Cool, okay. Unesh is a 6 mana, so it's 4 and 2 blue, for a legendary creature, Sphinx. It's a 4/4, and it has flying, and Sphinx spells you cost... Yeah, sorry, it's very difficult to say that. Sphinx spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Whenever Unesh Cryosphinx Sovereign or another Sphinx enters the battlefield under your control, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles, put 1 pile in your hand, and the other one in your graveyard.
It's a powerful effect.
Yeah, it is, definitely.
Right? Like, I actually have an Unesh commander deck.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because what's better than a Consecrated Sphinx than a 4-mana Consecrated Sphinx that casts Fact or Fiction when it enters the battlefield? So, like, yeah, I mean, but no one expected this card to be standard playable, right?
Yeah, I've never seen it played in standard ever.
So I think, okay, well, I'll go through the rest of the deck list, and then I'll talk about, we'll talk about why this might be in the deck.
Yeah, for sure.
So after 4 copies of Unesh in this artifact deck, featuring no other Sphinx creatures,
yep,
you have Tezzeret the Schemer.
Hey, there's a card.
Your boy.
Yeah, I love Tezzeret the Schemer. Tezzeret the Schemer, I went hard on speculating on Tezzeret the Schemer. I did.
Did it pay off?
Not quite. I mean, I managed to sell a few for like considerably more than I paid for them.
Sure.
So I was buying them up at like $2 a piece.
Okay, sweet.
Because it was a Planeswalker. Like it was not saying any play at all, and it's still about $2.50, maybe $3.
Well, maybe if this deck breaks out, your investment will pay off.
So yeah, I did have a lot of them at one point.
Sure. I mean, if they're $2, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's $2 Planeswalker. It's fine.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. So 3 Tezzeret Schema, then we have 3 Fatal Push,
Yep.
2 Metallic Rebuke.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Artifacts,
you're playing artifacts. 2 Vraska's Contempt because you're playing standard.
Yeah, sure.
2 Renegade Maps.
Yep, more artifacts.
4 Treasure Maps.
Yeah.
And then we have 2 Arcane Adaptation.
Okay.
Which is 2 and a blue for an enchantment.
Yep.
As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type.
Yep.
Creatures you control are the chosen type in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield.
So you make everything a Sphinx.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are we playing 2?
I do not know. And
Why
also,
are we playing 4?
or why are they playing 2 of these and not just another 2 Scarab Gods?
I don't know.
Like
Because they like nonsense.
Sphinxes, yeah.
I mean, I like Sphinxes, but yeah. So you're playing four copies of a 6-mana legendary creature.
Yeah.
And then 2 of your combo card. Because I imagine, right, you play this, name Sphinx.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, which is great because Sphinx are a powerful tribe.
Yeah, for sure.
And then if you have an Unesh in play, because you're playing 4 of them.
Yeah.
When you fabricate with Marionette Master or Weapon Craft Enthusiast. Weapon Craft Enthusiast.
Yeah.
You make 2 servos, and you get like 3 Unesh triggers, and you get to Fact or Fiction 3 times, which is sweet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it does. It makes all your tokens Sphinxes as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, like it makes everything a Sphinx. So like you cast this, so you pay 3 mana, and you get 3 Fact or Fictions.
Yeah.
And some creatures. So like I get it.
Yeah, definitely. I think initially I hadn't realised that it made all of your tokens Sphinxes as well.
Yeah,
I think that changes things a bit. Yeah.
Creatures you control so they enter the battlefield as a Sphinx.
As a Sphinx, yeah.
It will trigger an edge. I mean, that has to be true, otherwise this deck is horrific and would not have 5-0'd. So you've got one arcane adaptation on Sphinx, and then you can just cast your other one on Zombie.
Yeah, and you get your Scarab God, yeah.
You get sweet Scarab God combos.
Yeah.
So this deck is complete nonsense.
Yeah, do you want to take us through the sideboard of this deck as well?
I mean, yeah, right, okay. So, as we know, we're playing a blue-black deck.
Yeah.
Right? So in the sideboard, 2 Chandra's Defeat.
Okay, and that's a 1 mana, that's a red mana, instant cut.
That's a red spell, yeah. And we're playing 2 Duress.
Yeah, that's fine.
2 Contraband Kingpins, which, is a blue-black artifact card. Sure.
Yeah, it makes sense in the deck, I guess.
Mm-hmm. 2 Essence Scatters.
Yeah, great card.
1 Negate, 1 Bontu's Last Reckoning,
Yep.
2 Golden Mize, another Rascal's Contempt.
Okay.
And 2 Naturalize.
Oh, okay. So
Would you like
it's a
to-
4-colour deck.
Yep. Would you like to know how we're casting our 2 sideboard Naturalizers?
How are we casting those 2 sideboard naturalizers?
A forest.
A single forest.
Well, no, I mean, no, but also just the mana base on this deck. It's incredible. So we've got 4 Drowned Catacombs.
Yep.
Fine. 1 Fetid Pools.
Yep.
1 Field of Ruin.
Yep.
3 Islands.
Yep.
Scavenger Grounds.
Yep.
4 Spire of Industry because we're playing artifacts.
Yeah, totally.
5 Swamps.
Yep.
And then because of our red and green splashes in the sideboard,
Yeah.
2 Spybuff Canals and a forest.
It
And
just seems really strange.
an Ether Hub.
A
Just
singular,
one.
yeah, just a lone ether hub.
No other energy makers in the deck, so it taps for a coloured mana once and then taps for colourless.
Yeah, like,
What's happening?
I don't know. Like, maybe, like, so you want to get your Spybuff Canal down early and then try to sort of mind game your opponent into thinking you're playing something else?
Sure, but why aren't you then playing a Botanical Sanctum for your naturalizers instead of forest?
And also, why would your opponent assume that you're playing 4 copies of Unesh in your deck and that you're actually Sphinx Tribal? Like,
Sphinx Trouble. I mean, are there even any good standard playable Sphinxes outside of Inesh?
there is the one from the Welcome deck.
So no.
It's Sphinx of Magosi.
Sphinx of Magosi. Oh, that's legal in standard.
Yeah, it's in the 2017 Welcome deck.
No, that's like a control finisher. That's sweet. Okay. I mean, it's bad, but like, okay, that's interesting. I did not know that. That's really
Yeah, it's in Welcome deck 2017, so it is in legal standard legal currently.
Standard legal Sphinx of Magosi.
Yeah,
Dude.
6 mana, 6/6 flying. Pay 2 and a blue, draw a card, then put a +1/+1 counter on Sphinx of Magosi.
I honestly think I'd rather play that card than Arcane Adaptation and Unesh.
Yeah, I don't know why this deck isn't playing like any other actual Sphinxes, like Sphinx of Magosi. Like,
No, I mean, maybe it's just Yuka Kazami, who played this deck, just knows way more about Magic than we do.
yeah, it 5-0'd a competitive standard league on Magic Online, so it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's
It's
not
something.
like some sort of kitchen table brew. This is definitely.
I mean,
It's very strange, but it put results up.
at a certain point, like, you just jam 4 Walking Ballistas, 2 Scarab Gods, 2 Rascal's Contempts, and Fatal Pushes into your deck, and it's okay, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And then, like, just a 6 mana 4/4 flyer, like, that'll kill some people.
Yeah.
But yeah, this deck is nuts, and I love it. I don't understand why any of these cards are in this deck together. It's great.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like too ridiculous as well. Like, I've seen, I don't know if you've seen the Legacy Arcane Adaptation deck,
No.
the Minotaur Tribal. So there's a deck. I believe it was Pleasant Kenobi had posted a list up in a video and was playing it.
As Kenobi's playing some nonsense, sure.
Absolutely. So it's Arcane Adaptation, naming Minotaur,
Sweet.
and then you play Didgeridoo, and then you Didgeridoo an Emrakul into play.
For the love of God.
Yeah, so Didgeridoo is it's a 1 mana artifact, and then you pay 3 mana and tap it to put a Minotaur from your hand onto the battlefield.
God, that's just okay.
It's
Have some respect for the game,
oh,
even
it's-
if that works.
like that's it. Like I think like when I see Arcane Adaptation, like I want to see things like that happen. I want to see some just ridiculous things, but
Sure.
the bulk of this deck just seems to be kind of like fairly sort of straightforward. It's good blue and black cards in standard. So why the Sphinx?
I don't know. Sorry, I'm just looking at Didgeridoo. That is a sweet card.
Didgeridoo is great. Didgeridoo is one of those cards that is, again, it was just crying out to be broken. Like, one day they are going to print something that completely breaks this card, and it's going to spike to $200, and then, you know, even because it's a Homelands card, like that's the thing that's going to skyrocket the price of Homelands boxes.
Is this the best card in Homelands?
No, I think Merchant Scroll is probably the best card in Homelands,
Okay, sure, that card's actually good.
but Didgeridoo is on the reserve list.
Take a Minotaur from your hand and put it directly into play as though it were just summoned. Or take a flying spaghetti monster from your hand.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, sure. That's ridiculous. Well, I think maybe we've got a what the deck for next week, right?
Oh yeah. I feel like it would be a bit cheeky to go over it like fully, since it's somebody else already has done a nice sort of rundown of it. But it's definitely a what the deck.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man. Okay, so yeah, I mean, buy up your Inesh's and your didgeridoos is apparently my advice after this podcast.
Yeah, go like didgeridoos on the reserve list. Like they can't reprint that card, so go buy them while they're $2 each.
I'll buy a set. That's fine. Just in case.
Yeah, you never know.
Or maybe I'll make a Minotaur Tribal Commander deck.
So, do you have an end step story this week, Sam? Moving swiftly on.
Yes. Let's move on from the nonsense.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
It's sort of not very nice because it's about me being judgmental.
Oh, okay.
So playing in a GP, I can't remember for the life of me what GP it was. But I was playing in a side event because it was Sunday, and I was just playing like a modern side event, and I was playing Sultai Infect.
Okay.
Which was like I brewed it. I was playing like instead of, which is when Gataxic was legal. Instead of those, I was playing Inquisitions. Yeah. I was playing some Plague Stingers because you need. This was before Fatal Push as well, so there was no actual reason to play black.
Yeah.
Playing Plague Stingers because you need a high density of. Anyway, that's not the point. I was playing this deck, and I sat down across from my opponent, and my opponent was wearing one of those sort of like hempy hippie top things.
Okay,
I mean?
I think I know what you mean. Yeah, like almost like Renaissance fair style, like
yeah.
Yeah.
So like one of those things.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, okay, cool. Like that's whatever. Yeah. Looked at it, and then they had a water bottle, and on the water bottle they had a sticker that said "Sab the Cull" with a little picture of a badger on it.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, oh, cool, that's nice. So I like spoke to them. I was like, oh, what's that? And we got talking, and it turns out that they're a vegan.
Cool.
And I was like, oh, cool, me too. Like, had a conversation about that. And I was like, well, if I was a vegan, which I am, I play green creatures because, you know, that's what I like doing. Because you play, I'm playing Infect, right? That's like the least vegan deck you can possibly play.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you're probably playing like a creature deck because, you know, you're a hippie. you like eating tofu, so you're probably going to like play some Birds of Paradise and play some green creatures and all this stuff. So like, okay, I can probably beat that. So I've got to like, you know, I'll mulligan into these, like into my distortion strikes and stuff and just try and get them dead really quickly and make block them and stuff. So I sculpt this hand based on this ridiculous assumption that my opponent's playing a green deck because
they're vegan. Wow.
They must love creature decks. It's like, I'm playing Infect. Like, sure. Anyway, and then they go Temple of Deceit,
cool.
Scry 1, suspend this Lotus Bloom. I'm like, oh, great. Okay,
that's not creatures.
No, I mean, I won the match anyway.
Yeah,
but like, I just completely misunderstood my opponent, and I have since not judged anyone that I've played Magic against because that's a bad thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, like 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna be able to know just from looking at your opponent what they're playing. Like, I guess the 1 out of 10 is, you know, if they're playing like a commander deck when their commander's featured on their deck box, or, you know, that kind of thing. You know, you can sit down against anybody and they could be playing absolutely anything.
Well, I do that on purpose now because like I have my deck box that I have Infect in. Yeah, I put Smashed Realities on it. The people sit down and be like, Eldrazi. Like, no, Listener Elf. That's just me. Because I mean, I do fit the stereotype, right? Like I play green decks. I like small green creatures.
Yeah, but so I'm vegan as well, but I've never really enjoyed playing green decks ever. Like, I mean, I liked playing Tron, and that was good, but you're playing.
Worldbreaker doesn't really count as a small green creature.
Oh, this was before Worldbreaker. I wasn't playing any green creatures at all. No.
But yeah, that's my that's my story of the week about me being a bad judgmental person and getting it completely wrong, but not even getting punished for it because I won. So.
Oh well.
Do you have an end step story?
I do this week. So mine comes from Legacy Cube. Once again, I had a lot of fun playing Legacy Cube the past couple of days that it was still available. It's now sadly gone from Magic Online for the next good few months, so that's me playing a lot less Magic Online at the moment, I think.
M25 is exactly the same as a cube.
No,
it's not.
It's really not. It's like I assume we'll get like Modern Cube or some other hopefully interesting cube fairly soon. But I enjoyed Legacy Cube a lot while I played it. I didn't 3-0, but I did get some good stories. So this week my story comes from that Legacy Cube game I played last week. So I played a blue-black deck, which was pretty much every deck that I played that wasn't a mono-red deck.
Sure.
It was just sort of like nondescript throwaway game. It was like a round 2 of a league or something, like game 2. I keep a mediocre opening hand, like fine. It's got 2 lands, so it's got an island, it's got a swamp. I think it had maybe a Baleful Strix, and it had a couple of creatures, nothing sort of note. So I play a land, pass a turn, opponent plays their land, pass a turn. I play a land, play the Baleful Strix, thinking, hey, I'll draw into some land, and play some bigger things. I draw into a Dragon Lord Silumgar, and I'm like, well, I can't cast that anytime soon. But
because 2 lands.
I'm still stuck on 2 lands. That's a shame. So then I pass a turn back to my opponent, and they play a land. Then they play Show and Tell.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, okay. What do I do here? Like, how do I... Okay, I guess they just win on turn 3. So then I look at my hand and I see, Dragon Lord Silumgar. That's good. Has a very good ability on it. So Dragon Lord Silumgar says, when Dragon Lord Silumgar enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature or planeswalker for as long as you control Dragon Lord Silumgar.
Well, that's good.
I thought, well, they're probably going to show and tell something massive and ridiculous here. Literally my only out is if I cast Dragon Lord Silumgar and I can target that creature with it. So I choose Dragon Lord Silumgar, pass priority, and my opponent chooses Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. Dragon Lord Silumgar trigger goes in the stack. I steal their Emrakul, pass the turn, and they concede.
That's awesome.
It was great. It was like there was nothing else in my deck that could have saved me from like surviving an Emrakul attack the next turn, and it was complete luck that I'd kept a mediocre hand and drew into a Dragon Lord Silumgar.
Just thanks for this Emrakul.
But it was great. That's one of my favourite things about Cube, is you do get to do so many silly things like that, and that was just one of the many that happened this week.
You got an Emrakul into play, and you didn't even have to cast Didgeridoo.
No, Emrakul didn't play on turn 3, and I didn't even cast it.
so good.
So I think that about does it this week. Once again, we're reaching the approach of the second hour.
As usual, we're going to have to change the name of this podcast, I swear.
Yeah, maybe.
Hour and a bit of devastation.
So the God Pharaoh has returned, and we'll see you all again next week.